gamers? Welcome back to EPG-Every Platform Gamer, the channel where we cover gaming news and do deep dives across PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, PC, all of it. So Splatoon Raiders is not Splatoon 4, and honestly, that's a good thing. Because after finishing it, I came away thinking Nintendo has done something much more interesting here than just giving us another round of turf war with a shiny new number on the box. This is the first proper Splatoon spin-off. It's exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2, and it takes the series away from competitive multiplayer and into a single-player focused treasure hunting action shooter where you play as a mechanic. Team up with Deep Cut, raid the Spirhalite Islands, fight waves of salmonids and collect loot, upgrade your gear, and somehow still spend half of the game looking like you fell into a paint factory during a seafood riot. And yes, I have finished it. I have rolled credits, I have tinkered with weapons and chased unlock, messed around with outfits and scanned the Amiibos, and at one point I'm pretty sure the game threw some salmonids at me and my Switch 2 looked at me like, mate, are we doing this or not? And the answer is yes, we absolutely are. Splatoon Raiders launched on July 23rd, 2026 as a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive, and right from the start Nintendo positioned it differently from the mainline game. This is not built around competitive PvP. This is built around raiding islands, looting, upgrading and pushing deeper into a strange new corner of the Splatoon universe. Nintendo also promoted the game heavily through a dedicated Splatoon Raiders Direct, the Nintendo Today app, a prequel comic called Deep Cut's Island Misadventures, and themed Joy-Con 2 colors, a Splatoon 3 collaboration Splatfest, and My Nintendo rewards and sweepstakes tied to the launch window. What I really like about the launch is that Nintendo didn't try to pretend this was the next main competitive entry. They said, here's a different flavour of Splatoon, and that honestly matters. The game feels like a bold sidestep rather than a half step. It's still unmistakably Splatoon, but the structure is more about preparation and experimentation and rewards. You go out, make a mess, grab loot, return to the hideout ship, upgrade, then go back out again, like an ink-covered squid with a toolbox and unresolved personal goals. The dedicated single-player campaign is where Splatoon Raiders surprised me most. Nintendo has always had good ideas in the Splatoon campaigns, but here the whole game is built around that solo adventure loop. You crash land with Deep Cut on Spirhalite Islands, build in a hideout ship, search for treasure and uncover what's going on, and gradually become stronger through raids, weapons, gadgets and tanks and relics and upgrades. But the real genius is that Nintendo still gives you options. You can play it solo, which is how I finished the main campaign, but you can also play it with up to 3 other players online or through local wireless, and the game even includes online help features so players can support each other through tougher stages. That makes the whole package shine because it doesn't force one playstyle. If you want to take your time and play alone, it works. If you want to jump in with mates and cause absolute ink-based health and safety violations, it works too. And for a game based on raiding islands full of angry fish monsters, that flexibility is huge. This is where Nintendo's philosophy really shows. The whole game is built around feel and movement, shooting, swimming through ink and dodging and gadget cooldowns, weapon swapping and crowd control, all connect in a way that feels instantly readable but still gives you loads to master. In the official developer interview, Nintendo said early prototypes leaned more toward trap-style based defense, but the team moved away from that because it didn't feel active enough for Splatoon. They refocused the game around direct movement, gadgets, weapons and constantly reacting to enemies. That decision absolutely pays off. Splatoon Raiders is at its best when everything is kicking off at you all at once. You're splatting salmonids and coating the ground, launching gadgets, dodging attacks, collecting power heads, calling on Deep Cut's bot and desperately pretending you meant to fall off that ledge. The best moments have that classic Nintendo magic where the idea is simple but the execution has layers. It isn't trying to be the biggest, grittiest, most expensive shooter on the planet. It's trying to be fun. Every second you're holding the controller, and for me that's why it works. The progression system is one of my favourite parts of the game. You're not just clearing missions for the sake of it. You're always bringing something back. Salvage, crystals, weapons, gadgets, parts, relics, outfits, upgrade material. There's always that little one more raid perceived itch. The loot you bring back can be used to upgrade equipment, weapons and tanks and gadgets, and even the hideout ship. There are 11 weapon types and over 100 weapon variations to discover and collect. The tinkering is genuinely satisfying. Speed, power and tactical tanks all push you into different rhythms, and each tank has its own compatible gadgets. I found myself constantly adjusting loadouts, not because the game forced me to, but because I wanted to see what ridiculous combination I could get away with next. The outfit unlocks also matter more than you'd expect, because this is Splatoon. Style is basically a stat. If I'm going to get flattened by a salty fish with personal space issues, I at least want to look fresh while it happens. Visually, this game has such a strong identity. Splatoon has always had that street fashion, graffiti, music and youth culture edge, but Raiders takes that DNA and throws it onto a remote, grimy, shipwrecked island adventure. In the developer interviews, Nintendo explained that the Spirhalite Islands were designed as remote, uninhabitable islands far from the usual urban Splatoon settings, and the team leaned into the Switch 2's improved graphical capabilities and processing power to better show organic, natural elements like grass, curved terrain and unsettling island environment. That shift gives Raiders its own flavour. It's colourful but not clean. It's bright but also weird. The beaches, caves, lava areas, broken structures and rusty details, and the strange salmonid spaces all make the game feel like a tropical holiday brochure after 3 days with no sleep and too much seafood. And I mean that as a compliment. The colours are still gorgeous, the ink still pop, and Deep Cut's new island designs look brilliant. Nintendo clearly understands that art direction ages better than chasing realism for the sake of realism. On Switch 2, Splatoon Raiders looks fantastic. The colours are bold, the image quality is crisp, and the whole thing has that clean Nintendo polish where the screen just pops. The colours pop and the HDR for compatible TVs looks incredible, while Nintendo Switch 2 hardware outputs in 4K, and OLED displays with HDR make your room light up with spectacular particle effects, and the frame rates are a silky smooth 60 FPS, and the Switch 2 doesn't dip, not even once. It's pretty much solid even with the screen full of enemies and particles. The presentation is sharp and colourful and extremely clean. The frame rate felt rock solid throughout my playthrough, and even when the screen was full of ink, enemies and explosions and particles and gadgets and whatever emotional damage Fry was bringing to the mission, technically the game is mental, and the game's visuals are a great example of how powerful the Switch 2 is. It's given the PS5 a real run for its money. Raw graphics are not everything. Instead, strong performance and art design alongside gameplay are always king. What impresses me most is not just that it looks better, it's that extra hardware helps the design. More salmonids, more particles and more chaos with more colour, and yet the action remains readable. Nintendo's own developers talked about ramping up the number of salmonids for this ultimate multitasker experience on Switch 2, and that absolutely comes across in the final game. The team's history here is important because Raiders doesn't feel like a random side project. Producer Seita Inoue has been involved with Splatoon since the first Wii U game. Director Yoshiko Ito mainly worked in Salmon Run and served as a planner on Splatoon 2 and lead planner on Splatoon 3. Art director Koji Sonoyama led the UI and development on Splatoon 3, and sound director Shu Tamura worked on battle sound effects and the sound balance for Splatoon 3. That explains why Raiders understands the series so well. It's experimental, but it doesn't lose the core. The developers knew what made Salmon Run exciting, knew what made single-player Splatoon underused, and then built a game around that pressure. They even explained that the point was to create a non-competitive entry point for players who might love the world but not want the pressure of competitive multiplayer. And honestly, that's one of the smartest choices Nintendo could have made. The reception so far has been very positive overall, and Splatoon Raiders is now one of the highest user-rated games on Metacritic, and that's great as more Splatoon games are only a good thing. That matches what I've seen from the wider conversation. Most people seem to really enjoy the loot, the co-op, the progression, and the fact that this gives Splatoon's fans something different. But there are also fair criticisms around the repetition and whether the game goes far enough. For me, the positives easily outweigh that. The moment-to-moment gameplay is strong enough that even when the structure repeats, I still wanting to jump back in. It's comfort food. It's comfort food involved squid kids, treasure and a worrying amount of airborne salmon. Playing with my 2 kids and wife has been a blast, and I appreciate Nintendo giving us a fully online co-op multiplayer mode. Now let's talk Amiibo. Amiibo. Because yes, I got the latest ones too. As a fellow collector, I couldn't do it. Nintendo released new deep cut Amiibos for Splatoon Raiders, including Fry, Shiver and Big Man in their new adventure, and the official game page confirms compatible Splatoon Amiibo unlock stylish outfits for the mechanic. Nintendo's UK also says that the new deep cut Amiibo triple pack launched alongside the game and that the base is combined for display, which is exactly the sort of tiny collector detail that makes our wallets tremble and fear. And as usual with Amiibo, if you see them and you want them, don't hang around too long. Best Buy listings I found had the Shiver, Fry and Big Man Splatoon Raiders Amiibos marked as sold out, which is very on brand for Nintendo collectibles. I love the figures because they feel like part of the wider Splatoon culture, the music, the fashion, the characters and little physical collectibles that fans actually want on a shelf. Do I need more plastic figures? No. Did I buy them anyway? Hell yes. That's called commitment, or a problem, possibly both. I refer to it as Amiibo-licus. Yes, it's a real condition. Check out my Amiibo video for that. This is where I'm going to be a little spicy. For us at EPG, Splatoon Raiders is another reminder that Nintendo's exclusives on Switch 2 are operating in their own lane. PlayStation and Xbox still have great games, obviously, but so much of the wider industry is obsessed with bigger budgets, more realistic graphics, longer development cycles and cinematic scale. Nintendo keeps proving that you don't need every game to look like it costs the GDP of a small country to be memorable. What matters is how it plays. Splatoon Raiders shows off Switch 2 not by chasing realism, but by pushing colour, clarity, enemy density, responsiveness and personality. It is a game that understands fun first. That's why Nintendo's gameplay is king philosophy still hits so hard. The best Switch 2 exclusives feel different because they are designed around interaction, not just spectacle, and when the screen is full of colour, the frame rate is holding, the controls feel sharp, and I'm grinning like an idiot while being bullied by seafood, that matters more to me than another ultra realistic puddle. I love the constant weapon variations that drop and also the deep customizations and also movesets to switch up gameplay and combat flow. Level designs and combat scenarios are also a highlight, and Nintendo's creativity is really on show with every raid. I find wanting to play more and more. So final verdict, Splatoon Raiders is not a replacement for the mainline competitive games, and it doesn't need to be. It is a confident, colourful, chaotic, single player focused spin-off that gives the Splatoon universe more room to breathe. The campaign is genuinely fun and the co-op gives it extra life, the progression loop is addictive and the weapon and gadget tinkering is satisfying. The outfits are stylish, the Amiibo support is a nice collector bonus, and the Switch 2 presentation makes the colours and image quality absolutely pop. It isn't perfect, some raids can start to feel familiar, and if you only care about the competitive turf war, this may not be the exact sequel you were waiting for, but as a new branch of the franchise it works brilliantly. Nintendo took one of its most stylish modern series and proved it can survive outside the usual multiplayer structure. More than that, it can thrive. For me, Splatoon Raiders is one of the clearest examples so far of what the Switch 2 exclusive can be. Not just more powerful, but more playful, more readable, more colourful and more focused on pure gameplay fun. If you enjoyed this review, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to EPG-Every Platform Gamer and follow us across our social media platforms so you don't miss what we've got coming next. Also, head over to our website everyplatformgamer.com and for more gaming reviews, news, opinions and features from our community of gamers who play anywhere and everywhere with no bias and pure gaming passion. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think of Splatoon Raiders. Are you playing solo, jumping into 4-player co-op, collecting the Amiibo, or are you still holding out for Splatoon 4? And keep an eye on the channel because we've got loads more coming, including Halo Combat Evolved review, Kirby Air Riders, Mario Tennis Fever and plenty more across every platform. Thanks for watching, thanks for supporting EPG, and until next time, stay fresh, stay gaming, and please, if a giant salmon is charging at you, that is not time to admire your outfit. Well, maybe just a little, and remember to game anywhere and everywhere.